Hello YouTube, back out in the forest again. Got the day tarp up. If you haven't seen the other videos, very quick 2 meter by 1 meter tarp, handy to stick in your bag. Talk about guy lines. This is a typical guy line. Just larks headed onto tie out with the tarp. Goes all the way down, round your stake. It's a big stake. Back up, and then to some sort of tensioner. Now you can have like loop aliens, or you can use Dutchware gear, tarp worms, or all sorts of things. But I just use a Faramond hitch because it's a slip knot that when you tighten it up, it turns at an angle, it provides a lot of tension, so you can tension it up real tight. So this is all fine, but cord's heavy. When you've got a really big tarp with loads of tie outs, maybe you've got a ridge line as well, all of that weight adds up to quite a lot, maybe 100 grams or so. So I was looking for ways to lighten that, and the only way to do it is to use ultra lightweight cord. There's loads of great cord out there, but it's all quite thick, and the reason it's thick is because it's difficult to tie knots and use tensioning products on very, very thin, like wire-like cord. So it cuts through stuff, you can't hold it with your hands and all that kind of stuff, especially in the cold. So I tried and eventually I found a way to use 1mm Dyneema. Now it will work with less if you want, but I'm using 1 at the moment, which is just crazy light. It hardly adds any weight to any tarp once you've got it on. Now this is the stuff I'm using. It's called Superpower Spider cord. So braided line, high strength, great abrasion resistance, 300 pound, 1mm. So very, very thin cord. It comes in loads and loads of colours. It's used for fishing. I'll put the link down below so you can find it. And it's really good because it's £8 English pounds, or about $11 for 100 meters, which is loads. So it's ultra cheap for Dyneema cord. That's the cheapest you'll ever find it, I think, especially with all the colors that you like and stuff. So I like to go stealth a lot of the times. This is like a green, they do a darker green. There is a danger with super thin cord that you're going to trip over it, and I'll show you how I sort that out later, because sometimes I want it bright, sometimes I want it stealthy, so I want that option there. So how do you do it? You can't really tie tension knots in it, or slip knots, because the cord's too slippery for that. So this is a double dragon knot, great for holding on Dyneema, holds really well to create loops. Then I'm going down to a stake in the ground. There's always one tie out that can't reach a tree and you need a stake. And then to tension it, I've used these little toggles again that I've used on all sorts of things. There you go. Use these little toggles. So I use 2. I use 1 on the cord as a handle there, and that gives a very good grip. You can get a lot of tension on that, and your hands won't slip on the cord, it won't cut on the cord, especially if it's cold, so that's really handy. Also, you can move it up and down quite easily, so wherever it is on the line you can move it to wherever it's needed. And then this one, again, same on the line, but when you tension it up you just wind it round the back, and the tension of the cord like puts a lot of pressure on it and it doesn't slip. I've had this kind of guy line up for about a week in the garden and it didn't slip 1mm. It was absolutely great. Dyneema doesn't stretch, so it doesn't stretch in the wet or anything like that, and it stays bowstring tight. Let's see it there. For as long as you want. So this is kind of perfect, you'd think. I'm going to show you how to tie it. Okay, so I'll undo it. It's just wound round. There's no knots or anything like that to worry about. Kind of bites into it, which is nice. There. So what you do is you put your cord round, and then you pull it tight using your little handle, position it on the cord where you want it, and then pull it tight to where you need it, like that. And then you put it over the top, and you let it bite down. So now it's going up and round, and then you just pull on the handle, and now you've got a you've actually got a 3-to-1 advantage. 1, 2, 3 to 1 advantage. So you've got loads of tension there. Probably more tension than's needed actually. So you put your tension on, and then all you do is wrap it round. Each time, pull it in, make it bite. Make it bite 3 times, and that's it. And that will now hold. That will now hold forever. It's just really great. I love it. And because there's not a lot of pressure on here, this is just plastic, so it's ultra light. It doesn't need to be metal. So it packs away really nice, doesn't fall off the line. Goes around your stakes really nice, it slips around because it's Dyneema, so it's very slippery. It's just absolutely ideal, and this is probably the lightest weight tie out you'll find. A 1mm tie out is pretty thin, because it's 300 pounds breaking strain. You can put these on the ridgeline as well if you want a really taut ridgeline on a really heavy tarp. It will cope with that as well. The only thing you have to be a little bit careful of, I think, is here. So this is a lot of pressure on a very small diameter of cord, so I'm worried that it might cut through like the grosgrain. So what I'm going to do is put a piece of thicker cord just there, just a loop, just tie a loop and put it on, Lark's head it on or something like that, and then put this on the cord. So if it cuts through the cord, it's easy, you just replace the little loop and that won't break there. So that's what I'm going to do, just a sacrificial small loop on the ends of all the tie outs, and then that'll save that from cutting through. I don't know if it would cut through, but I just got a feeling, because it's so thin, a lot of pressure, that it might. But it's super thin, super strong, and you can get it ultra taut with a 3-to-1 ratio, and anybody can do it. You don't need to know knots, you don't need to remember the right way to tie it, and because it's so thin it's very hard to tie anyway. So yeah, really pleased with that. Now this is quite a trip hazard because it's so thin, it's really hard to see. They do it in fluorescent green, which I've got some on the way actually, just to see how fluorescent it is, so that might help if you want visibility. But sometimes I want stealth, sometimes I want visible guy lines. If I'm around camp, normally I want it visible. At night, and if I'm away from camp, I don't want it visible, I want it stealthy. So I've got a way around that as well. So I'll bring you back in a minute. Have a look on eBay, do a search for this stuff. This is 1.5mm reflective cord. So this shines, you know, when you put your torch on it at night, it shines right back. So you can use this as guy line if you want, it's quite nice, but obviously you're paying a bit more money for that. So I bought a load, and this is how I'm going to use it. I'll show you how I'm going to use it. So you just create a loop of that stuff, and you just put a prusik onto your guy line. So this has loads of advantages. A, you can see it quite well, and at night obviously it reflects the light, so it will glow at night. Another advantage is you can move it up and down to wherever you want, if you want it up by the tarp line, or I'm always tripping over my stakes, so sometimes I'll put it down at the stakes, like that. Or if you want a few of them, you can put a few of them on the line, so maybe 2 or 3, depending on what you want. And the best thing is, you can just, if you don't want it stealthy, you can just, if you don't want it to glow, you can just take it off and just put it on when you want. So it's a good way of having glow, reflective glow lines on your cord. So that's my answer to stop you tripping over. It's not very easy to see on the camera, but when you look at it in sort of with your own eyes, you can see easily. It's hard to see the line, but you can see the reflector or the tag. So these are just like adding tracers to your line that are removable, and dead easy to do. So there you go, lightweight, easy. You can leave them on, take them off, whatever you want to do. So that's my solution for stop you tripping over the lines, and it works because I've tried it. There you go. So guylines, super light, super easy, great for tensioning, doesn't slip, reflective, optional reflective, just reflective when you need it. So it's not, you can have an option to have it reflective or not. Very simple, great to get very taut lines or loose lines, doesn't slip, and it's great, works well. That's your little handle for pulling. So there you go, my answer to ultra lightweight guy lines. Things are about as light as you can go and as strong as you can go. Takes up less room in your pack. Lighter loads means you can travel further. Okay, thanks for that, bye.